Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome back to Cold Waters, where today we're going to do a new campaign. This is a modded campaign. This is one of the mods that you can download for the game, one of the actually many mods by now. And we're going to be doing the North Atlantic 2004 campaign. Backstory here is that although tensions with the former Soviet Union had lessened, Russian forces launched a devastating surprise attack across the Polish border. Central Europe is plunged into war and NATO nations struggle to push back. Resupply convoys from the US are crucial to the war effort and must be defended. NATO Naval Ops assigns you to the Norwegian Sea and North Atlantic in an attempt to maintain control of the situation at sea. Reforge your plans, not practiced in over a decade, are hastily enacted, as many struggle to figure out exactly what has happened. Now, this campaign is going to allow us a few new boats. That is the beauty of it. We have the Virginia class. This is the top of the line newest ship or newest sub that they have, the SSN 774 class. This one comes with a greater dive depth than the previous boats that we used in this campaign. We have a test depth of 1200 feet, so that's about 400 meters. We'll have 4 wires, so we can keep 4 of these torpedoes controlled. 33 knots, 134 crew. We have, of course, the AdCap torpedoes, we have the UGM-84 harpoons, and the UUM-125A missiles. Now, I'm not exactly sure what those are. Then we have the Seawolf class attack submarine. This is basically my favorite boat. This is the one that I grew up with. Comes with AdCap torpedoes, decoys, of course, harpoons, anti-ship missiles, land attack missiles, and the UUM-125. Test depth is 1400 feet, so this thing can dive immensely deep. I'm not even sure that the game is adequately modeled for that. From what I remember, these boats are incredibly expensive. They are far more expensive than the Virginia class, for example. And then we have the Los Angeles class Flight 3 and I believe the Flight 2. These things are similar, but of course the Flight 3 is more advanced. Anyway, we're going to be using the Seawolf class. Let's see what they have in additional information. Yeah, we have twice as many torpedo tubes. We have 8 torpedo tubes on this boat. We can carry 50 weapons, including cruise missiles, a new combat system, a large spherical sonar array, and yeah, here we go. Each Seawolf class boat costs $3 billion, making the most expensive SSN submarine, and the second most expensive submarine ever after the French SSN Triomphant class. Right, let's get to work. We are assigned command of the USS Seawolf SSN-21. Let's see if they have... Yep, they have new information here as well in the world news. Terrorists attack Russia. 2 airlines have been destroyed. What else is going on? Mission accomplished. Is the war in Iraq truly won? With the recent furor over the president's mission accomplished speech, several independent political and security analysts are expressing a growing concern that the speech has given a premature expectation of victory. They warn that much remains to be done. Russia protests the expansion of NATO. Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't like that much. Russia down a civilian airliner. A Lufthansa Airlines flight outside of Moscow? Why would you do that? They issue a statement claiming that the plane had been hijacked by Ukrainian terrorists. We blame the United States for this. They have opposed every effort that we have made to end the threat posed by these radical groups, the Russian Minister of Defense said. Additionally, we know that the US has covertly supported many of these groups in an attempt to keep Russia off balance. This is not looking good. Russian army and Spetsnaz deployed in Ukraine. What else is going on? Explosions at the Kremlin. 23 dead, 32 wounded. The screenshot that we're looking at in the back, is that not Mission Impossible where they blow up the Kremlin? Or part of it? Russia invades Poland / Baltic states. War declared. Here we go. Standard for land ambushed. NATO losses at sea. Great. Standard for land, in case you're not familiar with the term, which I can't blame you for. Standing Naval Force Atlantic. It's the NATO, well, I'm not going to call it flotilla, but naval battle group that we usually have operating around there. It was engaged by Russian Kirov-class battlecruiser Pyotr Veliky and her escorting Sovremeny class, the Boyevoy, northwest of Jan Mayen Island. Reported suffered great losses, including the sinking of the German frigate Karlsruhe, the Royal Netherlands Navy frigate HNLS Tromp, which is, by the way, one of the boats that or ships that I have ever visited. Russian losses are reported as minor, with the Boyevoy suffering light damage. The Pyotr Veliky and the Boyevoy's location is reported as unknown. Russian ship-borne air defense systems were reported as surprisingly effective, which I interpret as no missile got through. Okay. Here we go. Standard for land consists of 4 destroyers and frigates with the Royal Canadian Navy, German Navy, Royal Netherlands Navy, and the United States Navy, each contributing 1 ship on a permanent basis. These are joined periodically by ships from the navies of Italy, Belgium, Denmark, Norway, Poland, and Spain. The force operates, trains, and exercises as a group, providing day-to-day verification of NATO current maritime procedures, tactics, and effectiveness. Alright. We have information about an enemy raider group transiting at high speed towards the Soviet coast. We believe a small UNREP force is operating in this area. I'm going to interpret UNREP as unreported. You are ordered to interdict this group and sink any replenishment ships in the area. You may also get a chance at the enemy warships this group is intended to support, but tenders and tankers are the target. Right. Transiting towards the Soviet coast is a larger, or it's a pretty rough estimate, I'd say. Let's see. How are we for weapons? Look at that, 8 torpedo tubes. Beautiful. We have 14 ATCAPs. We have Tomahawk anti-ship missiles. Do we? We have 40 out of 48 weapons. Aha, okay. We must have vertical launch systems. That's why we're seeing that we have 8 TASM and 8 TLAMs on board, but we just cannot see them in the interface here. So we have them, but I'm not exactly sure how we're going to launch them just yet. Anyway, let's cast off and find that group. Now, this is the first time I'm playing through this campaign, so everything is just as new as it is for me as it probably will be for you. Let's see how deadly this Seawolf is going to be. Now, I'm assuming that everything right up until Andoya is pretty clear. There's nothing out there, at least I'm hoping. So we're coming up to the mission area. Time to start creeping in. See what we have around here. Hello. Alright. Our depth, 150 feet. Heading 99, speed 10 knots. Let's engage these guys. Ah, I like this model. Really, really nice. Alright. Slow down. I'm gonna crank up the volume a little bit because I'm not sure you guys can actually hear it, especially the crew voices. There, this should be a little better.
Sonar, new contact bearing 127, designated Sierra 1.
What do we have here? Let's come left a little bit.
Con, maneuvering, making turns for 5 knots.
It's not likely to be an SSN. What are... Ooh, that's active sonar. What are we dealing with?
Sonar, new contact bearing 1.
Oh, there's plenty of these guys about.
Sierra 3.
It still doesn't quite stack up. There we go. Cresta 2, guided cruiser.
Con, sonar, Sierra 1.
That's one.
Is classified as escort.
Not a Kara. Not a Kirov. It almost stacks up with a submarine. Come on. That's not it either. There we go. A cannon.
Con sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as escort.
And this thing is still pretty weak. I'm gonna have to get a little closer to this guy in order to get a positive identification on him. This could be it, if it is a freighter. But we're not really looking for freighters, I believe. We're looking for a raider group. No, that's not it. Sierra 3 is going to take a little bit of time to identify. Now we have no layer. This means that I cannot really hide anywhere. So we're just going to go deep. And we're going to make sure that we have all that depth to maneuver. We have 616 feet, which is less than half of my test depth. So I can really go very deep here. At least my test depth is greater than what the ocean floor is currently at. Now let's keep working on the identifications and the solutions for these two targets. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to hope that Sierra 3 gets a little closer so that we can get a positive ID on them as well. I like how these guys modeled this. It looks really nice. Especially this thing in the back. This was, I believe, one of the Seawolf's specialty units or specialty items to make it more silent. Because Seawolf was one of the quietest boats, I believe, ever. There's a story about this boat. I'm not sure if it's accurate, but they were tasked with sailing through one of those naval testing grounds to see what the sonar profile was. And at some point, they were told to pass through that area. And the sonar operators were just constantly waiting and waiting and waiting. Where is that boat? Why is it not showing up? So at some point, they contacted Seawolf and asked, "Hey guys, where are you?" And they said, "What do you mean? We already crossed through the zone twice. We were already there, and you guys didn't even notice." Now, let's speed up time a little bit. I'm going to keep zigging and zagging a little bit to try and get this thing cleared up as quickly as possible. We are getting closer. 18,000 yards. 22,000 yards. I don't want to get too close to those active sonars. That could be a problem. Sierra 2 is becoming pretty damn clear at 75%. The Cresta... Yep, we have a full identification on the cannon. The Cresta still not so much. What's the range? 23,000 yards. Okay. And Sierra 3 is also building up. 70%. Come left. I want to know what that Cresta is. If it is, in fact, a... Oh! That explains it. We're looking at a Victor 3. Interesting. Oh, and you have a helo on board. Alrighty then. Right. Now, time to start launching some weapons. Edit waypoint. Next tube. Low tube, right. We have 8 wires we can possibly connect. This is wonderful. Cresta, 77%. I think that the Victor and the Cannon are likely candidates, with the Cresta being a good second. So I'm going to go and make this weapon active. This one's going to go passive. That's for the Vector and the Cannon. It's at 21,000 yards. It's quite far away. We can probably get to it though. Active. Scan for shallow targets. Firing tube 1.
Aye, sir.
Tube 2. And tube 3.
Tube 3. Aye, sir.
Alright, weapons are away. Let's come left a little bit. I wonder when these guys are going to start hearing these torpedoes. Because they are about to get quite the surprise. Now, the one that I sent for the Victor 3 is one that I intentionally...
Sierra 3 is
He heard it.
activating.
There goes my plan. Is the one that I intentionally made passive, so that hopefully it was not going to get detected instantly. Apparently it was. Apparently it was. There, that's your new location. The Cresta 2 seems to also start to speed up here. Large warship, look at that thing. What do we know about it? That's the Kiev. I still want to sink a Kiev and or a Kirov. Hopefully we're going to get the chance to do that. There we go, Cresta 2. Missiles, torpedoes, RBU 6000s, Sea Whiz. Very noisy though. I still think it's the well, it's a weird radar setup that they have.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Oh, there we go. My torpedo must be between me and the target because I certainly cannot see it anymore. They have a pretty unusual detection radar. Or at least that's the way that it comes over to me. There. These two. It's like they're, for some reason, at an angle. I'm not sure if that's accurate. It might be. But normally search radars like these are like this one, looking up, like the one that is straight. That's what I find unusual. Anyway, we have a torpedo closing in on the target. I'm not sure if it's enough to sink a Cresta 2.
Con, sonar lost contact.
It's enough to sink a Cresta 2.
Last bearing 1, 2, 0. Contact breaking up.
Now, let's see what this Victor and this cannon is going to be doing against my torpedoes. I could make Tube 2 active.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Never mind, Tube 2 has acquired. And I think that that is still our Victor. And it's making so much noise that Tube 2 immediately has acquired. I'm going to make Tube 3 stand off for a bit. Or Weapon 3. Unfortunately, I can only set one waypoint. I do not want Weapon 3 to go after the same target. And considering that this guy is still being disrupted by my own torpedo noise, I don't know exactly where that cannon is. It looks like number 2 has adequately picked up the Victor.
Con, torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
Alright, tube 1's reloaded, beautiful. This guy should start dropping noisemakers right about now. Let's see if he's smart enough to do so. Not really. I mean, he still has some time, but not a lot. Ah, there's our cannon. Really, dude? Just like that? I mean, I don't mind, but you could have done so much better.
Con, sonar lost contact.
Target
Sierra
destroyed.
3, last bearing 1, 8, 4. Contact breaking up.
Alright, that's him done. Now, we can still launch more weapons if we need to, but I don't think that that is going to be too necessary.
Con, fire control, unable to
Sorry, didn't mean to fire it. I just meant to change it a little bit. Now, this is exactly why I had Tube 3 or Weapon 3 stand off for a bit. Otherwise, it would have engaged Victor 3. And that's not really what I had in mind for that weapon. There it is. Let's make it active.
Fire control, weapon acquired.
Hang on, son. That's the wrong target. That's your target right there. You haven't found it yet, Come on, manual control. This torpedo is fighting me. Now, let's have a look at that UUM-125A. What exactly is that? Is a long-range standoff anti-submarine weapon. Now, that's a whole mouthful, but what it means is that we're basically planting a small torpedo right on top of a cruise missile. So I can drop those things off just the same way that the Russians are doing most of the time. And with that, I have a way of engaging submarines at greater distance. The problem that I see there is that even though I might be able to engage them at longer range, I'd first have to detect them, which is all but a guarantee, especially with these quiet submarines about. So currently I'm not carrying any of these. I don't think I'm going to be carrying them anytime soon.
Con, fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
There's the countermeasure. He just dropped... Actually, he made a knuckle.
Con,
Look at you
fire
go.
Control, weapon acquired.
I'm not manually controlling this torp, just watching what it's doing. Come on, buddy. This is the end of the line for you.
Con sonar, noisemaker.
Really?
Bearing 162. Con sonar.
Bingo.
Lost contact. Sierra 2.
Right,
Bearing
target destroyed.
162. Contact breaking up.
Okay, so that's all of them, I believe. Let's speed up time, make sure we have an active torpedo, or we have a torpedo loaded in tube 3. What?
Torpedo in the water. Bearing 007.
Okay, Seawolf. It's time to start running.
35.
That's that bloody helicopter.
Maneuvering eye.
Speeding up as fast as possible. 15 knots.
Con, torpedo room, tube 3 ready.
20 knots. Let's start shaking the rear of this boat. Come on, make a knuckle, make a knuckle.
Con, knuckle form.
Knuckle formed. Is the weapon getting fooled by that? Yes, it is. Alright. Let's try to get out of its seeker cone.
Con sonar. We are cavitating.
Yeah, bite me. Cavitation is the least of my worries.
Passing 300 feet.
Nope, torpedo has reacquired.
Passing 200 feet.
Let's continue the dance.
Con, knuckle formed.
Not sure if that knuckle is enough. I think it is.
Passing 200 feet.
At least for now. If we can continue to
Passing 300 feet.
outpace this torpedo, then we should be able to win from it.
400 feet.
Con sonar. No longer cavitating.
I wonder what search cone that thing has. It seems to be scouting towards the surface at this point. Yeah, I think we lost it. We're too deep for it. Just to be sure, I'm going to head towards that wreckage, so that if it spots me, I might be able to lure it away with the wreck. And it looks like right over there we still have the enemy helicopter.
35 knots.
35 knots, bloody hell. Yeah, I think we're good. Speed it up a bit. Oh, crap. Did he drop that on top of me? Or is he just guessing?
Make turns for 1.
I'm gonna slow down a little bit and pretty much hover above this wreckage here.
Make turns for 5 knots.
I'll stop.
Make turns for 0 knots. Maneuvering eye.
Come up a little bit. Is that helo? No, the helo's not nearby, so we should be able to leave combat. There we go. Yeah. Excellent initiative, not the target. Oh, we already got the Navy Cross? Alright. Oh, submarine group. Currently we're moving at 5 knots. We have a weak thermal layer at 140 feet. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Last known bearing 116. For that we are actually, hello, at a perfect heading.
Bearing 116.
What are we dealing with? Definitely not a biological. Could be a Juliet with a slightly distorted sonar profile. Any other contenders? Yes, a Kilo. Okay. Kilos are generally very quiet.
Con sonar Sierra 1 is classified as.
I mean, these things are at 125 decibels, very quiet. Fortunately, the noise here is very low. So at the moment, we are not really too bothered by that. But if there was a storm raging on the surface and he just happened to be close to it, well, that'd be a tough cookie to detect. Alright, let's continue to dive. Get a little bit closer to the layer there.
Passing 100 feet.
So you can continue to build up a solution for this guy. And I'm not even sure he's alone out here. There could be more of them. Solution 46%. Let's continue with a very slow turn to starboard. 47. Of course, this layer is hampering my detection attempts here.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Let's make sure. Oh, hello, there's another one of you.
82 designated Sierra 2.
What do we have here? Could be another Kilo. Let's make it left turn. So we can get a quick solution on him.
Con sonar Sierra 2
What
is
are you
cavitating.
doing? Why would you be cavitating? And you... We still don't really know that much about him, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's just 2 Kilos patrolling together. Let's make a little bit of a starboard turn. Keep the towed array and the passive sonars that we have on the boat itself towards the target. 82%. I'm more concerned about Sierra 2 here. Oh, we're losing the solution on this guy. 31%. We could just go fishing. Just send a torpedo his way and see what happens. But that's a pretty expensive fishing expedition with Mark 48 ATCAPs. %, 51, 52, 54, 55. What's the other Kilo doing? Not a whole lot, it seems. 58. Pretty confident about his course and speed right now. Now, because these things are so quiet, I'm going to set my torpedo to active. Let's continue with another zag to starboard. 66%. 65. If a Kilo did in fact manage to reach 12,000 knots or 12,000 yards, then he is quite close. 70%. 72. If I can get a 75, I'm going to fire. 75. Alright, let's turn the boat directly towards the target. Firing. Tube 1.
Shoot Aye, sir.
That should give this guy a run for his money. If he gets to hear the torpedo. Which is all but certain. And it looks like this guy is also pretty noisy at this point. So let's send another one for Sierra 1.
Aye, sir.
Sierra 2 at this point might have heard the torpedo. Now I would like to make a turn north, or a turn towards the north, to try and get a little bit more of my sonar array onto these targets. Because right now, thanks to the torpedo propellers in the water, the sound profile of the target is being distorted. Which means that I cannot hear the target myself. We can, however, hear the kilo. And this guy is actually quite a bit closer than I had expected. If I had not had that wire attached, it would have been very, very difficult to try and hit this guy with the same weapon. Right, what about Sierra 2? 74%. Not too bad. Weapon 1 is about to go active. Let's extend his run a little bit. 82%. 90%. He's doing 21 knots though.
Con sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as submerged submarine.
Not surprising. Okay.
Con, fire control, unable to fire.
Torpedo's looking for the target. It looks like it's potentially either not in range yet, or the target is too deep, but he seems to be... Is he coming up? He might be. This, I think, is Sierra 1. No, it's Sierra 2, actually. Oh, come on, Sierra 2. Let's give this torpedo another turn.
Con sonar lost contact.
Dead.
Sierra 2.
What about the other guy?
0.
Sierra 1.
0.
He's doing
Contact
22
breaking up.
knots. He's running for his life. My torpedo isn't even active. Continue to run a little bit more. Actually, no, let's go make it active.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
He has located the target. He's making so much noise himself that we can pretty safely load up new weapons in Tube 1 and 2 once we have this guy dead. Let's make sure that we're going to come in a little bit from the bow on, otherwise he's going to drop a noisemaker on us and we will not be able to catch them. At least not yet. I'm surprised that these guys haven't fired off a snapshot back at me.
Con sonar lost
Dead.
contact. Sierra 1. Last bearing 167. Contact.
Alright, there are no other ships nearby, or no other contacts, that is.
Con, torpedo room, tube 1
Tube 1 loaded.
Con, torpedo room,
Tube 2 loaded.
ready.
Let's leave the combat. Yep, 2 kilos sunk. Still not the mission group, though. The Silver Star. Right, this is where I'm going to leave you. Next episode we're going to continue to try and find that Soviet battle group, that Soviet raider group. I hope that I can find it in time, because I would hate to instantly lose out on this target and just lose this mission. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoy this new campaign. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I'll see you soon for new episodes of Cold Waters with the 2004 modded campaign.